Hello everyone. So last week I received my Hanayama Cast Ripple puzzle from the Huzzle collection, and it's been a hell of a week figuring this out. I think it took me a good maybe 7 hours, an hour a day trying to fiddle with it to get it to the point where I could systematically take it apart and put it back together so I could create this video. It's definitely a very difficult puzzle. They rated 5 out of 6, but it's, in my opinion, more difficult than a couple of the level 6 puzzles that they have. So I don't know why they rated it this way. It also has an annoying thing where at the beginning it's sort of locked into place, and I feel that that's not a very good idea because you have to force it out to start. But anyway, it is what it is, but the rest of the puzzle is quite fun to take apart, and it's certainly enjoyable to handle. So here we go. Okay, so first of all, apologies. The camera is having a hell of a time focusing on these shiny objects. So let's introduce the 3 pieces of the puzzle. So there's one piece that we'll call the ripple piece because it has the word Ripple written on it. You'll have to trust me on that because I don't think I can get the camera to pick it up. Yeah, there it is, kind of. Yeah, anyway, it's written Ripple on it. You'll be able to see it on yours. And we'll call this one the Hanayama piece because it has the word Hanayama on it. And of course the other piece will be the gold piece as it's colored gold and has nothing written on it. So what's different about the pieces? They look all identical, but they are not. They're not even symmetrical. So it's important to note that the 2 silver pieces have a large head and a small head. And also note that the opening, the gap between the 2 heads, the Hanayama piece has a wide gap and the ripple piece has a narrow gap. The other piece, the gold piece, has a narrow gap and has 2 large heads. Other thing that's important to realize, and you won't be able to see this visually, but you can see it when we put the pieces together, is that the bottom of the loop on the gold piece is thinner than the bottoms of the loops on the silver pieces, and also one of the shafts is thinner as well. And that allows you, in certain cases, to pass the piece directly onto the Hanayama piece, which has the wider opening. So, for example, if I take the Hanayama piece here and the gold piece, they go in, directly. There's no shenanigans to get these combined. They just flows right in. Same for the part where there's the shaft here. Where is it? So it's this shaft here. So this part here can actually go straight into the Hanayama piece. There, see how it flows in? No impediments there. It can actually go from in to out. So the 2 pieces combine this way very easily. The other pieces, they don't combine as easily. You have to use a bit of a trick. So the basic trick, and I think that's the main interest of the puzzle, is this trick for combining the 2 silver pieces. You take 2 heads and you point them in opposite directions, and they both go into the opposing loop at the same time. And you can flip it around, and now the 2 pieces are combined. And you can do that with any 2 heads and any two pieces. So it doesn't have to be a wider opening or not. And to take them apart, well, you sort of position them like this and split the 2 loops and then just slide them off the 2 heads. So this works the same even if you're using the large size head and you're combining it with the gold. You can just combine them like this and it just, boom, it goes in. The problem is putting them all together at the same time. So that's what we'll be working on now. I'd like to point out a couple of other features that are not pertinent to the solution, but you may notice on the 2 silver pieces there is a flat bottom of the loop, and the purpose of that is just at the end of the puzzle when it's all put together, it allows it to stand up properly. So that's just cosmetic, not part of the solution in any way. Also on the ripple piece, there is a dimple on the small head. And this dimple here has the same purpose as the notch, which you'll find on the gold piece. There's a notch. It's not a dimple, it's a notch. So it's been carved out or something. And the purpose of that is just to hold the puzzle together at the end. So if you look on the box, you can't see these dimples and notches, but the way it's set up at the end, that it holds things together. But it's not in any way part of the solution. So if you've been looking at how this could possibly help you combine the pieces, well, like me, you've been wasting your time. The dimple, the notch, and the two flat pieces have nothing to do with how the parts come together or come apart. The large and small head, they are pertinent, so you want to keep that in mind. And the orientation of the pieces when we put it together is important as well. So you can't, if you're following along with my solution, which I'm going to show you, you do have to put things in the exact same orientation. So for example, if you're combining these two pieces, it's different to do this than it is to do this with the other head. So, you know, one of them is the dimple, is the notched head, and one of them is not the notched head. And same thing for the silver pieces. One of them is a small head, one of them is a large head, and you have to take that into account when putting everything together. So that's it for the introduction on the pieces. Let's go back to the solved puzzle, and we'll show you how to disassemble it. Okay, so let's take the puzzle apart. Mine is already unlocked, so when you get it in the box, for some reason they jammed it in, like, I don't know if they used a tool or what, but it's jammed in really tight and you have to pry it open. I don't like that they did that, because it sort of breaks the rule if you're never supposed to force anything, but you kind of have to force it out the first time, and you can push inside the loop such that it becomes loose. Like now it's a bit jammed, but see, once you got it unclicked, then everything just becomes loose. And taking it apart, I'm going to do it systematically, but frankly, just fiddling around with it for 10 minutes, it'll probably end up falling apart. So it's not too difficult to get apart, but let's just do the sequence properly. And so that if you still have it in the original setup and you've gotten nowhere and it's still just looped like this and you'd like to get it apart, well, you'll know how to do it. But I'm betting that most of you who've tried this have already got it in another configuration, and well, I can't help you now because I don't know what setup you already have to get it like that. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the Hanayama piece. So even though everything is looped in, you can still see the logo. So Hanayama piece, and you want to grab the with your left hand the large head of the Hanayama piece, like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring the gold piece over here like this, such as the unnotched shaft can come out of the Hanayama piece. See how it's slid out? It was in the loop, and out here it's not. Now we're going to untwist it by turning the gold piece all the way around. And now the bottom of the loop of the gold piece is available to go back in to the Hanayama loop. See how I passed it back in? And that was just to untwist it and get it in. See, I'm showing you how it's going in and out of there, of the loop. So now it's back inside the Hanayama loop, but it's in the correct orientation to get it all the way out. So now we'll flip this around, and instead of the large piece of the Hanayama piece, we're going to hold the small head of the Hanayama piece. Now you can bring the gold piece back out of the loop of the Hanayama piece, and actually you can go all the way and bring the little head so that it's about to come out of the gold loop like this. And it will come out if you bring the other piece that's been dangling under here, the ripple piece. If you bring the small head up near the intersection, now the Hanayama piece just falls out like this. And now we have a chain. And once you have it in a chain, I bet you've already figured out this part. You sort of match the heads together like this, and then you can turn them around. So let's say we want to untangle the two silver pieces. You put the two heads, you put all the heads together like this, and you separate the two loops, and now the pieces come apart by simply flowing out of each other's loops. And you can do the same thing with the gold piece. So you bring the heads together like this, and you know the heads, you just separate them, so it's sort of a twist move, an unfold move maybe. And once they're unfolded, well, the two heads pop out like that, and there you go, it's taken apart. Okay, so let's get everything put back together. And what we're going to do to put everything together is we're going to start by combining the gold piece with the ripple piece. So to put those together, what we want to do is have the ripple logo facing up towards you, the large head pointing downward, and in the other hand you're going to grab the gold piece and have the notched head facing you or up, and the corresponding head facing upward. And now we're going to put them together by combining them into each other's loops like this, like I showed you in the introduction. So this is a very simple move. Just make sure you have the ripple piece logo facing up and the notch facing up as well. And we push them in like this, twist it around, and boom, they're connected. That's step one. Step two would be adding in to the chain the Hanayama piece. The Hanayama piece will be combined into the ripple piece. And this one, what we want is the two small heads to be facing each other and to go into each other's loop, just like we did for the gold and ripple piece. So the two small heads face each other, go into each other's loop, twist around, and the chain is complete. Step three, we'll just turn this around. We're going to be holding it like this now. So the chain is Hanayama, ripple in the middle, and gold on the right. And now what we want to do is the small head of the Hanayama has to go into the loop of the gold piece, but it won't quite go in directly. You have to grab these with you, I don't know, with maybe your pinky finger, bring the small head of the ripple piece up near the intersection of the gold piece. And now the small head of the Hanayama piece can slide into the gold piece. That's not the end of this step. Before dropping everything, what you want to do is you want to continue along the shaft of the small head with the gold piece, and you want to go right in using the smaller bottom of the loop of the gold piece. You want to bring it right in, all the way in to the loop of the Hanayama piece. So now all three loops are combined within each other. So this might look like you're nearing the end of the puzzle, but unfortunately the most difficult step remains. So the following step involves reorienting the gold piece because it's not at the right place in the loop. We want it to bring it to the other side of the loop. So let's see how we're going to do that. First of all, you're going to grab the large head of the Hanayama piece in the left hand, and what you're going to do is you're going to bring, let's just get this guy out of the way here so that I can show it properly. What you're going to do is you want to bring the flat part of the bottom of the gold loop and bring it out of the Hanayama loop. So it'll comes back onto the shaft of the large head of the Hanayama piece. And once it's out here, you're going to flip it all the way around. Just turn it all the way around the shaft of the large shaft of the Hanayama piece. And now we have the other thin part that can go back inside the Hanayama loop, like this. And now everything is oriented correctly, and you can finish the puzzle. So once you've got it in this state, there's no really great secret. It's just to redispose it, like just put it back to like it looked in the original packaging. But I don't really have a secret to doing this. It's just like positioning it like a flower, but everything is already set up correctly. So I always fiddle with it, and you might have difficulty if you want to jam it in like it was when we received it. I don't like to do that because I feel we're bending the puzzle too much, and I feel it gets stuck. So I like to leave it just like this. This is like the original packaging, but not jammed in. If you want to jam it in, you have to twist it much more. And I feel like, I don't know if they used a tool to do this in packaging, but man, it gets really, really tight. But now everything is correct. This large piece is sitting in the dimple of the ripple piece, and this side of the gold piece has its notch aligned onto this onto the Hanayama small head. And there you go. That's the final solved puzzle.